Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jiu Tong. Today we're going to talk about a movie, the new film from PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. When I found out this movie could be released in mainland China almost completely uncut, I honestly couldn't believe my eyes. This is a nearly 3 hour film that just relentlessly roasts American politics from top to bottom, left to right. Now, when I say One Battle After Another is a great movie, it's not because I'm some huge fan of the director. I can promise you that. But after watching it, it gave me a huge surprise. I never expected it to be this interesting. If I had to pick my top 10 films of the decade from 2015 to 2025, One Battle After Another would absolutely be on that list. So, what makes this movie so good? When you talk about this film, you can't avoid talking about its politics. A lot of audiences today love watching movies about politics, and they love finding political metaphors. But here is the paradox. I believe that the more obsessed you are with politics, the more you love to analyze politics, the harder it will be for you to actually understand this movie. Why? Because that kind of view is too easily sucked into the political dimension. And once you only look at it from a political dimension, it's much harder to enter the cinematic dimension, the story, the characters, the filmmaking. You just end up thinking, oh, this person represents the left, that person represents the right, and this one is the moderate. But the film's creative purpose, its artistic goal, is precisely to deconstruct politics. What the director is trying to do in this movie is to shatter those preformed political concepts and symbols. So, when I see reviews that only evaluate this film from a political dimension, I find it a bit absurd. The very things the director is trying to break apart, they are busy gluing right back together. So now I'm going to get into the details and talk about exactly how Paul Thomas Anderson deconstructs politics. PTA's deconstruction starts right from the very first scene. The opening scene is a mission to rescue immigrants. One of the protagonists, the black female revolutionary Perfidia, captures an officer played by Sean Penn. The officer is taunting her, licking his lips. Perfidia says, "You want to play? I'll play." And then she points her gun at him and orders him to make your little brother stand at attention, forcing him to get an erection. I was stunned. I thought, is this some new revolutionary tactic? But when you think about it, this action does nothing to help the revolutionary mission itself. It has no practical meaning. So, why did the director add this scene? Hold on. Let's keep watching. Of this operation, Perfidia and Leo DiCaprio's character Bob and their organization, the French 75, carried out a few more missions, and during every single one, Perfidia always wants to do something exciting with Bob. She always wants to have sex during their operations. Especially that scene where they bomb the power plant is hilarious. They've just set the bomb and they're starting to evacuate. Perfidia says, "Let's ban right now." Bob is dead serious, saying, "No, no, we gotta go. It's gonna blow." But they end up doing it right there. Bob is running out of breath, and Perfidia is just hanging off him, trying to get it on. In his heart, Bob doesn't understand her. He's thinking, what the hell is this? We're in the middle of a revolution. The bomb's about to go off, and all this woman thinks about is sex? When I saw these sex scenes, I realized what director was doing. The director is showing the audience what he sees at the essence of American radicals or the far left. A lot of people will boil this essence down to sex. They'll say they are hormone driven, violent maniacs. That understanding isn't accurate, it's too shallow. The focus of those passionate scenes isn't sex, it's passion. Sex is just one form of releasing that passion. Passion is closer to the essence than sex, or like to use an even clearer term, a mass of energy. The American radicals PTA depicts in this film are precisely a mass of very high energy. And when energy is that high, it must be released, it must explode. Sex is one form of that explosion. The film shows other forms too. For example, shouting. After the first mission, Bob just screams his head off. We are the French 75, we are revolutionaries, we are so fucking awesome, it's incredibly manic. Or shooting. When Perfidia trains with her gun, he has to pull the trigger and never let go, emptying the entire clip. That's not target practice, that is a form of energy release. So, what these American radicals are really chasing is a life lived at full blast. The whole left versus right conflict, the revolutionary actions, these are just methods for them to release that energy. The politics aren't the essence. The energy release is the essence. The character of Perfidia, from her casting to her performance, embodies this energy. The director intentionally cast an actress with a very powerful presence. Her facial structure, her features are very strong, very coarse, very wild. There are at least two close-up shots of Perfidia running. The power in her run is intense. The swing of her arms is forceful. She's not running smoothly. She's sort of lurching and pouncing forward. Calling her run manly doesn't even cover it. You could say she runs more like a wild animal. The director's point is don't get stuck on political labels like a leftist, radical, or revolutionary. He believes that for these extreme American revolutionaries, their energy state comes before their political alignment. But this energy is destructive. She's completely irresponsible toward her family and the child. When she gives birth to her daughter, Willa, she immediately abandons her, dropping the line, I'm not a kid's babysitter. This mass of energy will not allow anything, not even family or a child, to give in the way of her living at a full blast. So, after deconstructing the far left, it's the far right's turn. The representative of the far right is the officer played by Sean Penn, Lockjaw. In the movie, these people are like thousand-year-old zombies in human skin. Their thinking completely rigid. That's an accurate description. The term I use for them is a tough exterior, empty interior. The American extreme right has one very obvious characteristic. They must be superior to others. They must dominate ordinary people. There is a line late in the film that makes this crystal clear. The white man who invites Penn to join the Center Adventure Club says, intellectually, morally, we are nothing special, but we just are superior. In other words, this superiority is just the natural order of things, it's absolute and doesn't require any justification. As the representative of this value, Penn's character clearly thinks this way too, but in the first scene, he is held at gunpoint by Perfidia, a black female revolutionary, and ordered to get an erection. He's being dominated, isn't he? How can he let that stand? So he becomes obsessed with finding her, conquering her, especially sexually. However, Penn's character doesn't understand himself very well. When he finally tracks Perfidia down in that hotel room sex scene, Perfidia shoves him against the wall, and in that moment, Penn instantly surrenders. He says to her, whatever you want to do, let's do it. He thought he was looking for revenge, but in that hotel room, he realized he wasn't looking for revenge. He was looking to be dominated. He craved it. This old S instantly transformed into an M. The desire to unconditionally dominate others very likely comes from a deep seated desire to be unconditionally dominated. The director's portrayal of Penn's character is also incredibly consistent. His tough exterior, empty interior is evident in every detail. First, his expressions. Penn's performance isn't showing this character is tough. It's showing this character is constantly trying to maintain a tough facade. He often bites his up lip with his lower teeth. Every time I see that expression, it reminds me of a little kid who is being bullied and is about to cry. You tease him, you're not a big boy, and he'll make that face right before he cries, biting his lip and insisting, I'm a big boy, too. The way he walks with this strange stiffness as if he's being held back by ropes. This restriction actually comes from his own mental self limitation. And the third one is his clothes. Later in the film, the young Wheeler asks him point blank, are you wearing shoe lifts? The lifts are to maintain a height he doesn't naturally have. Then she asks, and why is your shirt so tight? The tight shirt is a symbol of self restriction. So, you see, the director uses these details to tell us the essence of the American extreme right is this tough exterior, empty interior. They only have the appearance of strength, but internally they are also trapped in deep self restriction. So, why would this hollow, ice cold, far right character be so captivated by the energy filled, fiery hot, far left character? Penn's obsession with Perfidia isn't just a one night stand. Later, after Perfidia is put into witness protection, he actually buys flowers and goes to visit her family. His posture is very proper, like he wants a real relationship. If we, as I mentioned before, just understand the far left Perfidia as sex, then Penn is just attracted to sex, but that can't explain this later, almost pure love kind of visit. But if we understand what Perfidia represents as a mass of energy, as a life lived at a full blast, then his fascination can be understood as the fascination of a life that is constantly self restricted for power, for another life that is high energy and at full blast. It's an attraction between two life forces. The American extreme right may hold high positions, wield power, and have immense wealth, but they have no life passion. They are merely not dead, but they aren't truly alive. If the far left is high energy, extremely hot, the far right is low energy, extremely cold. Their existence is stagnant. And in that kind of lifelessness, perversion is easily born. So the far left are lunatics and the far right are zombies. What about the moderates? The moderates are typical middle aged, greasy wimps, and that's Bob, played by Leo. This portrayal of revolutionaries really moved me as someone who grew up in a socialist country. The propaganda we received always portrayed revolutionaries as flawless figures. They seemed perfect in their cause, their courage, and even their personal morals. This gave us this misconception that revolution is inherently good. The revolutionaries are perfect people, and that any destruction they caused was just the destruction of things that were corrupt and deserved to be destroyed. But what moved me most about this film is that the director doesn't hesitate to show the bad side of these radical left revolutionaries. Perfidia is irresponsible with her child and in the end easily betrays her comrades. Bob has poor discipline and is completely demoralized. These are the traits of a failed revolutionary, but at the same time, the director gives us a figure like Sensei. This character, played by Benicio del Toro, represents the values that PTA himself endorses. Sensei also represents a revolutionary path, but he's calm, rational, and uses a kind of Eastern wisdom to provide a real, practical help to the very people the revolutionary claim to be saving. Sensei always has a sense of calm and at the same time a sense of warmth. When he first appears, he's teaching Wheeler karate. After Wheeler finishes a sequence, Sensei doesn't say if it was good or bad, he just says, "Your breathing is off. Let's do it again." Right then, I knew this teacher was different. What is Sensei's core philosophy? In the car, he asks Bob, "What is freedom?" Bob stammers, unable to answer. Sensei says, "Freedom is not being afraid." And he lives by that line. When he needs to evacuate the immigrants from his shelter, the police are moments away. Bob is next to him, panicking and yelling. And Sensei, he calmly organizes the evacuation, and he even hands Bob a beer and tells him not to worry. He isn't just calm himself, he makes the people around him calm. What's the difference between what Sensei does and what the young Bob did when they rescued immigrants? Bob and his crew did it for the rush, to shout slogans. They didn't care about the immigrants' lives afterward. Sensei is different. He doesn't just shelter immigrants, he knows them. As he walks Bob through the shelter, he introduces everyone. "This is so and so." To Sensei, these people aren't just the political symbol of immigrant. They are living, breathing human beings. He treats them as such. He isn't obsessed with using violent tools like guns. He uses his own philosophy and wisdom to fight against power. I think this is what makes the film's portrayal of revolutionaries so much more three-dimensional and mature. Let's go back to Bob's character. Even if he's a wimp, he's responsible for the single most touching element in the entire film. It moved me even more than the final father daughter reunion. I'm talking about that little pink backpack. In the scene where Bob is escaping through the tunnel, tear gas is thrown in. When he climbs out of the tunnel, snot and tears everywhere, he's carrying a black backpack, and hanging from it is a small pink backpack. This must be their emergency bags. Who is the pink one? It's not hard to guess. It's his daughter, Wheeler's. In other words, in that moment of pure crisis, Bob didn't forget to grab his daughter's emergency bag. The big backpack dragging the little pink one, the visual says it all. No matter how dangerous it gets, Bob will always drag his daughter along with him. He will never abandon her. And what I admire most about the director is this: he never gives that pink backpack a single close up shot. It doesn't just appear once. After I noticed it, I kept looking for it, and whenever Bob has his black emergency bag, that pink backpack is still hanging off it. Even after Bob gets tased by the police, and the sensei rescues him and gives him his bag back, that pink backpack is still there, attached to the black one. That is a father's love. He may have failed at politics, but as a father, he's great. So we have the far left mother, Perfidia, and the far right father, Penn. The mother sees her as an obstacle. The father wants to kill her. This child, Wheeler, unloved by her real mom and dad, is the character the director pulls the most emotion into. Wheeler is such a likable character. She's tough and brave. After everything she goes through, you never see her break down and cry. She is also incredibly calm and collected. That's the calmness Sensei taught her. And she's smart, very clever. That final undulating highway chase scene is brilliantly filmed. Most car chases are all about speed, but in this scene, PTA puts all the creative emphasis on an element terrain. It's a wavy, rolling highway. The tension comes from one single factor. As the one being chased for most of it, Wheeler has no idea how far away the car chasing her is. She doesn't know if he's one wave behind or five. This means the car could suddenly appear right behind her at any second. But in her panic, Wheeler has a realization in this terrain, she can't see him, but he also can't see her. So she gets the idea to stop her car just over the crest of one of the waves, using the blind spot to make him crash. This isn't just a raw intelligence. That's also a credit to the calmness that Sensei taught her. And throughout this entire ordeal, Wheeler's clothing is a crucial detail. She escaped from a school dance, so she's wearing a very cute dress the entire time. The director did this on purpose. He specifically wanted her to go through all this brutality while wearing that dress. The dress serves a huge purpose. It constantly reminds the audience no matter how brave or tough Wheeler acts, she's still just a sweet young girl. The dress allows Wheeler to possess these hard qualities of strength and bravery, while always maintaining a softness. This softness is a sharp contrast to the wildness of her mother, Perfidia. In the film's score, there is a song with the lyric, Newborn King. The director believes that a child like Wheeler is the newborn king. This film is full of extreme, violent conflict. It's also made me think about a question. Why is it that America, despite having widespread gun ownership and intense social conflicts, I don't think it will ever have the kind of extreme, massive, violent revolution that we saw in the history of China, the Soviet Union, or Cambodia? I think this movie subtly touches on the answer. America's social structure, as chaotic as it is, has many built in release valves. People can protest in the streets, whether it's against Trump or for LGBT rights. There is a relatively free media and social media that allows all kinds of voices to exist. These are all channels to disperse and release internal pressure. When people have these avenues to express their dissatisfaction, to be seen, and to organize, the kind of revolutionary pressure that can topple an entire system rarely gets to accumulate to a single breaking point. In such a society, people are perhaps better able to recognize their own self worth and the lives they truly want to live, rather than being swept up in a life or death collective frenzy. The conflict becomes fragmented and chronic, just as the title, One Battle After Another, suggests. But it also avoids the kind of total, destructive civil war. At the end of the film, Wheeler joins a new political movement. How do we interpret this? Didn't the director just deconstruct politics? Yes, but the director's attitude toward politics isn't the complete passive cynicism of Bob. The battle Wheeler joins is not like the other battles in the movie. Wheeler's battle is not her mother's battle, nor is it her father's battle. She carries with her the love of her adoptive father, and she carries the wisdom, the skills, and the warmth taught to her by her master, Sensei. Wheeler's battle is a brand new battle. This brings us to the title, One Battle After Another. This title suggests a historical cycle, an endless, absurd loop of conflict. The director's attitude of reconstruction is on full display in the end credit music. The film has four end credit songs. The second one is a black hip hop track, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. The lyrics are very positive. It criticizes the disconnect between media and the reality, telling people to leave their homes, get involved in society because you can't see the real revolution on TV. The director uses this song to express what he believes an ideal, positive American left should look like. It should be like this song, with a strong, critical spirit, able to identify the real substance of social problems and not just devolve into a blind mass of energy like the extremists in the film. The third end credit song is a Christmas carol, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. What's this for? It's clearly meant to correspond to the far right organization, the Sense Adventure Club. The director uses this song to express what an ideal positive American right should look like. It should be like this song, dedicated to bringing joy, comfort, and warmth to the people, not obsessed with being superior and creating perversion. And the very last end credit song is an instrumental piece. I thought if the director didn't end the film with this track, the thematic consistency he built wouldn't be as perfect. The song is called Guitar for Wheeler. I love that pure guitar sound. It's warm and full of hope. This brings me to my final thought. I believe the director is an optimist. He wants to convey a value system of hope. Look, he deconstructed the far left, deconstructed the far right, and criticized the passivity of the center. But he doesn't fall into neonism. He uses the end credit song to show us what an ideal left and right should be. And then he uses the entire film to place all his love and all his hope onto that newborn king, onto the lovely, strong, and gentle Willa, who was unloved by her real parents. That is one battle after another. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.